Hello, and welcome once again to another episode of the Cade and Eric Show podcast. There's a lot. You think, you look around the world and you think, oh, it's just nice. It's a lovely place to live in right now, isn't it? It's a lovely place to go and be a college student at these Ivy League campuses. It's a lovely place. It's a lovely time in the world history, isn't it? It's just great. Everything's lovely. There's no conflicts. There's no wars. There's no. Yeah, that will be a lie. So, welcome to the show. Welcome to any new listeners. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for supporting. It's great. It's amazing. You can also check out my other content on Facebook, X, TikTok, which might be banned here in 270 days because that was passed by the Congress, Senate, and I guess signed by the president. So TikTok has got 270 days. I guess they're going to court over that, supposedly. So we'll kind of see how that goes. I'm kind of torn. That's a good way to get out your message. It's seen by a lot of people. But at the same time, they sit there and they whine and cry about, oh, we need freedom of speech. Freedom of speech. How dare you limit us? Freedom of speech. But then at the same time, on their apps, they limit your freedom of speech and ban your videos just because they don't like it or something. It doesn't go along with their narrative or whatever their reasoning is. So I'm kind of glad, in a way, that it might be banned. But then also you don't get that audience, you don't get that reach. So kind of torn. So we'll kind of see how that happens. So yeah, Cade and Eric Show the Cade and Eric Show, because my first account was banned, so I'm a little bitter. That's why I would say these things. YouTube and Truth Social, Cade and Eric Show on all of those. So please like, subscribe, follow, and share on those. That'd be great. And then more people will see it. And especially with this podcast, please rate on iTunes, Spotify, all those great platforms that have the podcast listed, and then others will see it as well. So let's get into this. There's a lot today. There's the Trump trial, the idiot college students that are just mindless and don't know history whatsoever. So yeah, there's that sports world. The Stanley Cup playoffs are going on right now. The Dallas Stars are playing the Golden Knights, who they got eliminated last year in the Western Conference Finals. So hopefully they can turn that around and beat them. That's about the only Dallas team that I kind of cheer for. I don't pay attention to them in the regular season, but yeah, hopefully the Stars win. So there's that. I guess the NBA playoffs is going on right now. A funny thing, I don't watch basketball. I saw the clips though of the Lakers Nuggets game. I guess the Lakers were up by 20 points at one point in that game. Blew a 20-point lead, and then LeBron James, in his brilliance and in his ultimate wisdom, sat there and complained about the officiating. Yeah, he sat there and complained about the officiating in that game when they blew a 20-point lead. He completely bricked a wide open three that would put LA up by 3 points in that game at the end with like 10 seconds left. And bricked it. He missed it. It bounced off the rim, and the Nuggets went down. They drove down and scored and won the game by 2. But yeah, he's gonna sit there and whine and cry about the refs, and you wonder why I don't watch basketball anymore. So there's that. That's going on apparently right now. I don't know how their playoff system works anymore, and quite frankly, I do not care. So yeah, the Astros right now, this is really rough. This is their worst start in 8 years. They are 7-17, I think, something like that. It is awful. I hate it. And if those that do not like the Astros because of the sign stealing thing, or because we've been the best and most successful baseball team in the last 7 years, well, here you go. You can gloat all you want, because this is super frustrating, and I'm hating it right now. It's just, I don't know what the deal is. Our offense, we've got great players on offense. I think it's just, I don't know what the ERA is for our starting pitchers versus our bullpen, but earned run average, if you're not familiar with what that term means. How many runs that a particular pitcher gives up is what that is meaning. So I don't know what the numbers are for that, but our world class and World Series caliber pitchers, except for Verlander, who finally came back, I believe it was last Friday, are all injured. So I don't know. I'm thinking that has something to do with it, because I don't understand what's going on with the offense. I don't understand what's going on. I mean, we've had to call up a bunch of pitchers from our AAA teams and put them right into the big leagues, and here you go. So I'm hoping this is just an awful month here in April for them, and then they'll be able to turn around hopefully May, June, and just kind of take off. I mean, we're worse than the stinking A's right now. The only good thing is we're not as bad as the White Sox. So if you live in Chicago and you're a White Sox fan, I'm so sorry. You won 3 games and lost 20. And I love in Martin Maldonado, I loved him, having him as our catcher for all the years that he was there. He's on your team, so I'm sorry if you're a White Sox fan, because it isn't very good for you either. But you're in a worse position than we are, so I'll take some consolidation in that. So let's get to some of this here. We've got a lot of things, just some despicableness. Well, mostly it's despicableness. Seems like that's all it is. It's just despicable. The House, the Senate, and it wasn't even close. They passed almost $100 billion foreign aid package without a single cent of it going to our southern border, but we've got to hurry up and we've got to ship $60 billion to Ukraine. Some of that is going to Israel, which you might think it's a bit hypocritical that I'm okay with sending some money to Israel, just because of the whole their God's chosen people kind of thing is kind of where I lean towards that, and I understand that He's going to take care of them. Kind of, that's. But if it's through us, then I'm okay with that. That's okay with me, because they're fighting for their very survival. And you might think, well, the Ukrainians, they're fighting for their very survival too. Really? I mean, it's been over 2 years now. And it seems like that Russia would like to come to some kind of peace agreement, and then either us or the Boris from Ukraine seems to like stop that, because they can't. They're gonna get. It's just a big money laundering scheme, because, and I've got some clips here from that. Marjorie Taylor Greene is pissed off. I'm pissed off because it's just ridiculous. You've got congressmen from our own country waving Ukrainian flags in the House chamber after it was passed, and it wasn't even close. There was like 100 Republicans that voted against it, which means over 100 of them did vote for it. And I'm not pissed off at the Democrats for voting for it, because that's who they are. They're America last. They're anti-American. They're open borders. They're all of a sudden big buddies with Big Pharma and all of that. And then they're all of a sudden, let's go into everybody's wars and pump money into this thing that we don't have. We're $34 trillion in debt. And, that's just who they are. They're just, I'm not mad at them, because that's who they are. But these so-called Republicans, they're the ones that pushed this. They're the ones that made it possible for this aid to go through. And it's ridiculous. We're spending money that we don't have to people that it doesn't affect us at all. What happens? So yes, I mean it's not like there's with the Israel thing, because there's tons of people in this country now that are screaming death to America and death to Israel. Yeah, I've got a little issue with that, and I'm okay with sending them some money to help them out and win this war against terrorism. But you don't have anybody out there screaming for pro-Russia stuff. There's none of that. And there's been reports that they're living better now in Ukraine, because of course they've had billions and billions of our dollars, than we are here today. So, yeah, I've got a little issue with some of that stuff. But so let's get into this package here that was passed by our lovely members of Congress. Oh, and the one story I did not get to last week, and I apologize for not getting to it, but just kind of ran out of time. I'm going to do this first before I get into all that because this story is hilarious that Biden told. I think it was a week ago, something like that, last week, the week before, where he claims that his uncle was eaten by cannibals in New Guinea. So I was going to share that last week, but I just quite frankly ran out of time. But here's the story as he tells it. So anyway, so he tells the lie that his uncle piloted a plane that was shot down somewhere in New Guinea. The plane went down, and there was a lot of cannibals, and they decided, hey, this is a Biden. So we're going to have a Biden for dinner tonight. We're going to have a nice barbecue Biden for dinner. Actually, I don't know if his last name's Biden. I just assumed that, but that doesn't matter. So yes, we're gonna have a barbecue Biden for dinner tonight. Like, go get the kids, honey. We're having barbecue Biden. So it turns out that story is a complete lie, and the story he tells later in that little clip of the Trump thing, where he called those that had died suckers and losers. Yeah, that's a lie too. There's been dozens of people that have said that was a lie. That nobody heard Trump ever say they were suckers and losers, those that died in the wars. So there's the story. There it is. I mean, the internet has. I posted a picture of this guy in a boiling pot, surrounded by cannibals. You can check that out on some of my other socials. But yeah, so there's the story of his uncle being eaten by some cannibals. That is not true. The plane did go down. It was not shot down. And yeah, that's the end of the story. So there it is. So I want to get into this. Let's see. Let's go into, here is what one of our representatives here in Virginia, and those of you in Virginia, you might want to give this guy a call. And if you're pissed about this bill, you might want to give this guy a call and tell him how you feel. This is Gerald Connolly. If that is your representative, call his office there in D.C. and in Virginia and let them know, because this is what he had to say.
Some say, well, we have to deal with our border first. The Ukrainian-Russian border is our border.
So, I think I'm pretty good with geography. Most of the European countries I'm okay with, but it's always funny that they'll sit there and make fun of Americans for not knowing, geography, European geography, whatever geography. But I'd like to see them sit there and name all the 50 states which are state sizes or the sizes of your entire countries. But anyway, our border, let's see, we have, look at a map here. You have the United States. You've got a big ocean called the Pacific Ocean over here. Then you have a not as big ocean over here called the Atlantic Ocean. There's this, body of water that's kind of down here in the south called the Gulf of Mexico. And then you've got this country here. Where's Russia, Ukraine? Okay, let's do some traveling here. Our border is not Ukraine and Russia. That's not our border. Our border is Canada to the north and Mexico to the south. That is it. We have our country borders two countries, Canada and Mexico. I guarantee you, the vast majority of people in this country could not tell you where Ukraine is. Probably couldn't tell you where Russia is either, even though that is the biggest country on the planet as far as landmass goes. So yeah, no, our border is not their border. I'm really leaning a lot towards what George Washington said when he said that we should not get involved in the wars of Europe. It's kind of funny because they sat there and they, they wanted the French to help with to fight the British in the Revolutionary War, and as soon as that was done and we won the war, and then the French got involved in another war with England, he said no. They were like, "Yeah, can we have some aid we just helped you out?" And he's like, "No, we're good. You fight your own war." Right after we had won the Revolutionary War, he said, "No, we don't need to get involved in the wars of Europe." And with this war with Ukraine, I mean, if we're attacked, absolutely go to the mattresses and just fight like hell and beat them, whoever it is. But this particular war with Ukraine and Russia isn't our war. They're not in NATO, which I completely disagree that we should be in NATO. It's not, whole thing was built around the Cold War and to be against Russia, and we don't need to be in NATO anymore. I mean, we're fitting the bill for that too. We're upwards of like 80% of it, where these NATO countries pay 20. So yeah, let's get out of NATO. Let's ship the UN. It can go stay over in like Switzerland or Zurich, wherever they do all those other conferences. Yeah, let's just move the UN off our shore and put it over there too, as far as I'm concerned, because they don't do any good. Anyway, I mean, it took them months to realize the horrendous sexual acts that happened in Israel on October 7th to finally recognize, oh yeah, there were some of these things that happened. So yeah, as far as the UN goes and all that stuff, let's just ship them out here. So our border is not Ukraine's border. Our war that they're having, which is unfortunate, and a lot of people have died, supposedly, that's not ours. That's not our problem. That's not our war. We have zero national interest in what goes on over there. But you've got Congress and all of its brilliance, and I'm blaming Republicans for this too, saying, oh yes, we got to ship billions, hundreds of billions of dollars, your money and my money, that we just paid in taxes a couple weeks ago. So hopefully that was fun for you. Yeah, we had to shell out several $1,000s worth of taxes. I was talking with my brother who owns a small business, and yeah, that got hit hard too. Along, with him and my parents are both in it. I had them a couple weeks ago, Keksi.com. You can go there for some fantastic cookies, KEKSI.com. But they had to shell out thousands of dollars as well in taxes. Isn't that fun? Isn't that great? And all of that money that we just gave to the IRS a couple weeks ago is going over to Ukraine to help out in some war that doesn't affect us at all. Sorry, we have our own problems. We have to fix our own crap over here before we start sending money and crap all over around the world. And again, you're probably thinking, well, what about the Israel thing? Yeah, well, that's a little different. They're fighting terrorism. They were on our side when 9/11 happened, and the Palestinians were laughing and cheering, just like they did on October 7th. So that's kind of fun for them. But I'm going to play a little bit of this from Marjorie Taylor Greene. I like her. I think she's great. But this is what she had to say about what was going on.
Take each dollar amount in this act is hereby reduced to zero. You see, the United States taxpayer has already sent $113 billion to Ukraine, and a lot of that money is unaccounted for. This is a continuance of a sick business model that the American government continues. The federal government continues to fund the military-industrial complex, and this is a business model that requires Congress to continue to vote for money, to continue to fund foreign countries, while this very government does nothing to secure our border. The American people are over $34 trillion in debt, and the debt is rising by over $40 billion every single night while we all sleep.
Oh my gosh.
But yet nothing is done
That is
to
incredible.
secure our border or reduce our debt.
Nope.
Inflation has driven out of control. Americans are suffering every single day. They can hardly afford their grocery bills. They can hardly afford gas in their car. They can hardly afford rent. And now mortgage payments are well over $3,000, where they were only just over $1,700 3 years ago. The youngest generation, young adults, don't even think they're going to be able to buy a home in their lifetime. And today in Congress, the most important thing that this body thinks should be done is to send another $61 billion to a war in Ukraine that the American people by 70% do not support. Mind you, this comes on the very heels of Monday being April 15th, tax day, where every single American had to scrounge up their money and send their dollars in to the IRS. Or some of them had to file extensions because they weren't ready and didn't have the money to pay their taxes. But today, this body says the most important thing we can do, no, is not reduce spending. That's not it. Not to do anything to drive down inflation. Oh no, we can't do that for the American people.
Oh, heavens no.
It's not to secure our own border that is invaded every single day by people from over 160 different countries. No, don't secure the American border. Let everyone in. We have over 1.8 million known gotaways. We don't know who these people are. And yet you have members of this body talking big and tough about, oh, we have to defeat Russia. Oh, we have to protect Ukraine. But yet all of you are unwilling to protect the American citizens that pay your paycheck, pay the light bills in this building, and pay for this entire federal government. For what? For nothing. Ukraine is not even a member of NATO.
So a little bit more. I'm going to stop it there, though. But yeah, you kind of get the point. You kind of get the point there. Americans are pissed. We're paying for all this crap. We're paying for the, I did a little bit on the military-industrial complex. It was instituted back in 1963 when they killed John F. Kennedy. Yeah, that came to fruition then because they didn't want. They wanted us to be involved in all kinds of wars all over the place in the 60s. Look at us now. How many wars have we been through? The Democrats and the liberals sit there and whined and bitched about, oh, Trump's gonna get us into all kinds of wars. There's gonna be destruction and death and blah. There were 0 wars started when he was president. 0. You've had Russia invade Ukraine. You've had the Palestinian terrorists attack Israel. This is all Biden too. We've bombed places under Biden. We bombed places under what's his face, Obama. Yeah, Syria, all those kinds of things. It's just amazing. I mean, this is who the Democrats have become, and I would bunch in some of those Republicans as well. Her, not so much. Her, I think she's really good. I think there's like very few of them that don't want this military-industrial company because there's a lot of money in war. There is a lot of money in war because these companies will pump out these ammunition, the munitions and whatever else, tanks, planes, whatever, medical supplies, the whole gambit, just to make money. War is there's a lot of money to be made in war. And that's something that Kennedy didn't want. I'm not saying he's an angel by any means, but that's something Kennedy didn't want, and they didn't like that, so they killed him. And now we're stuck with this military-industrial complex now, here 60 years later. So thank them for that. But yeah, so it's just astounding. So yeah, I will post a list of all the Republican representatives that passed the bill because they're, the Democrats, that's who they are. They don't care about America. That is blatantly obvious. Look at our southern border. Look at the inflation. Look at everything. And yeah, there's a poll here, an AP poll that says Biden's policy helping or hurting the cost of living. So let's start with there's helped a lot, helped a little, hurt a little, hurt a lot. Let's start with the top here with helped a lot. 5% that they polled says that Biden's policies have helped a lot. Who the crap are these people that said, oh yeah, the Biden policies have helped a lot? Who are you that think that anything that he's done is great when the cost of everything that we consume, food, energy, all of it has gone up tremendously. Helped a little, 13%. So 18% think that he's done something good. And those are probably your staunch Democrats that are like, oh, I just hate Trump so much. I just hate Trump so much. So I'm going to say that Biden has done well. That's probably who they are. Hurt a little, 16%. But hurt a lot, 42% said that he's hurt a lot. So that would be 58% say that he's hurt the country. Yeah, that's the majority of people saying he's hurt the country. And if you don't believe me, go fill up your tank full of gas and go to the grocery store and buy some groceries or pay your utilities because it all hurts. We just had the tax day, so that probably hurt a lot. So yeah, he's just done a horrible, awful job, and Americans hate it. So there's also the Trump trial going on right now. I'll get to the Israeli protests here in a minute, but there's this thing too. Here's some numbers here for you. Inflation at the same point in his presidency. This was a screenshot I got a couple days ago. Trump energy it says 0%. Right now, what Biden's is 30, almost 40%, 38.8%. Gasoline prices was negative 2%, I guess, compared to the previous year, or the previous administration. So that's comparing Trump with Obama and Trump with Biden. Gasoline is up 47%, almost 48%. Electricity was up under Trump at 3%. We're almost at 30%, so it's 10 times as much. Natural gas was negative 1.9. It has skyrocketed to 27% almost. Groceries was up by 3%. It is now 7 times that much with 21%. Eggs, and I've said this before, I don't understand what's going on with the eggs thing. Why is eggs just absolutely skyrocket out of control? Under Trump, it was a negative 3%, and under Biden, it has gone up to almost 50% more. Milk was up 2%. Now it's up to 15%. Chicken was up 3% under Trump and up to 23%. Transportation up 2%. Biden up 32%. Airfare was down actually under Trump, negative 13%. It is now done way more than that, and it's at 32%, almost 33%. Public transportation was down 8%, it has now gone up 22% more. So that would be a 30% jump there in public transportation. Used cars was up 2%, now it's up 20%. And apparel, so all the clothes that we wear, was up 0.6%. It has now gone up to 13.5%. But Biden's doing great. Bidenomics is working. Notice how they really don't say that anymore? Yeah. So this is since we're giving money wanted to share this here. This is from Volodymyr Zelensky. He says, "I am grateful to the United States of Representatives, both parties, and personally Speaker Mike Johnson for a decision that keeps history on the right track. Democracy, which America isn't a democracy, and freedom will always have a global significance. It will never fail as long as America helps to protect it. The vital U.S. aid bill passed today in Congress will keep the war from expanding, save thousands and thousands of lives, and help both of our nations to become stronger. He posted this on X here. How is sending you billions and billions, tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars making us stronger? It doesn't. Giving you our weapons and ammunition so we don't have any to fight whoever it is that's decided, hey, America is weak, we're going to go in. We've already been invaded by 10 million people. They didn't come here with an army and guns and things, but it's pretty easy for them to get it. So, yeah. I don't want to read what the rest he has to say. It's just infuriating. So yeah. And then also, speaking of Trump here, he's in his criminal trial now. That's set to be. He's there. He's set to. I guess he's stuck in New York now for weeks because they won't let him leave to campaign. And he says things. He tries to say things as much as he can before and after court. But yeah, the jurors have been selected, and the hush money to Stormy Daniels that says, it didn't happen. Where she says she doesn't want him to go to jail. She doesn't want anything to happen. And how much money has the Clintons give out in hush money for all of Bill's little encounters? How much money have they given out in hush money? Or anybody, for that matter. I mean, anybody in power that can do any of that kind of stuff. I've never given out any hush money because I've never needed to. I've never done anything stupid like that. But even if it were true that he gave hush money, and I guess they're saying that he gave hush money from his campaign, that's the whole basis for their ridiculous trial here. This has never happened before. So when are we gonna have the trials for the Clintons, for whoever that is giving out hush money? I mean, this is just ridiculous. Celebrities do it all the time. So yeah, I'll keep an eye on that too. But it's just, it's just ridiculous, absolutely insane, an insanity. But now, let's get to what happened over the weekend at these Ivy League colleges, universities, indoctrination facilities, is what I like to call them. They're not places of higher learning, they're indoctrination camps. Because you have all of these people protesting for Hamas, for terrorists, threatening the lives of Jews, but apparently that's all okay to these universities because they're not stopping it. So here are some what has been going on. So if you're unfamiliar, Columbia University, NYU, and others across the nation are these students, these lovely people, try to be nice because, as a Christian, we're supposed to love everybody, but it's so hard sometimes. But let's just take a listen since, let's just see what Biden has to say. He was off doing some campaigning in Virginia, and some reporters asked him, what he thinks is going on with these protests. This is what he had to say. Oh, okay. So, people say, it's just such a hard topic. It's just such a difficult topic to understand. No, if you do some research, you do a little bit of looking up things that happened 60 years ago, 80 years ago, because everybody says back in the 40s the Israelis stole the Palestinian land. Well, that isn't entirely true. What? From the research that I've done and things that I've looked up and read, obviously because I did not live back in 1948 in Israel, but what I have come up with and what I have read, and I encourage you to do your own research, do your own things here, but what I've read is that after World War I, the British took over that area, right? Because the Ottoman Empire held that the whole region there of Israel and all that. And after World War I, the Ottoman Empire fell. So then the British took over that area. And after World War II, they, Jews were coming from Europe because, well, World War II. They were going back to Israel because they wanted to be safe, obviously. And so they came down there, they bought land, and, the Arabs of the area didn't like that. They didn't like that all these Jews were coming here, or going there, excuse me, not here. I'm not in Israel, I'm in Dallas. But that's just one thing that kind of bugs me when people say stuff like that. But anyway, so they go to Israel, the Jews from Europe go to Israel because that's where their home of their ancestors were. Like, we want to go home, we want to go be where our ancestors were, we're going to go buy. So they bought they came down there, they bought land. The Arabs around there, the Palestinians, they didn't like that, so there was fighting. And it turns out the Palestinians lost. They lost the war. The British had set up a, the two-state solution where, Israel would have this, Israel and the Palestinians would have the same amount of land. And the Arabs, the Palestinians, they said no. And then they fought some more and lost. And so now they're going to sit there and complain 80 years later, and they've done it ever since then, about, hey, they stole our land. Well, you lost a war. Sorry, that's just kind of how things go when you lose. The losers, even though liberals and Democrats will think everybody deserves an equal chance, everybody deserves a trophy. No, that's not the case with this here. Look what happened to Germany after World War II. It got cut up. You had the communist side, and you had the West. You had West Germany, you had East Germany, and Berlin had a freaking wall through the middle of it, saying, hey, this is the West, this is the East. So when you lose a war, you don't get to pick the outcome of what happens to you. So the Palestinians and the Arabs that fought against Israel, they lost the war, and then Israel just took the land, because that's what happens. During a war that you lose things. You lose money, you lose land. That's just how it goes. That's how it's been going forever. And so they've complained ever since then that their lands were taken in every instance where there has been a fight, or there's been a conflict, or there's been a war, like October 7th, it's all been started by the Arabs and the Palestinian people. I think an exception to that is the 6-Day War that happened in the 60s, when the Arabs around Israel were about to march in and destroy Israel, and Israel was like, yeah, we got to strike first, otherwise we're going to be eliminated from the entire planet. So they struck first, and they kicked the crap out of them and won that war in 6 days. So this whole, that it's so complicated with Palestinians and Israel, it isn't really that complicated when you do a little research and you don't believe the lies and the propaganda of it all, that Israel's won the war. You get things when you win a war. That's just how that ball works. That's just how that ball bounces. But they don't like that. They don't like the fact that they lost. They don't like the fact that their lands were taken from them because they lost a war. And so they've been fighting ever since. So here in America, which I never thought I'd ever see the day where in America that this would happen at all, where there would be chance of death to Israel. But up in Dearborn, Michigan, you might think, well, Michigan, that's got to be somewhere over the Middle East, right? When you have Chants of Death to America. But no, Michigan is right north of us here in Texas. And never been to Michigan. Been to Wisconsin, though. It's a nice area. Used to live in Minnesota. I think, because of all the crap that's going on in Minnesota, with the BLM stuff, and then now with all this that's going on, the Lord knew that I needed to be in a very red state at this time, because I would be very angry, probably get into a little bit of confrontations. But this is what was chanted in Dearborn, Michigan, USA.
Asked, why are our protests on the International Day of Quds, why are they so anti-America? Why don't we just focus more on Israel and not talk so much about America?
Because you hate it.
Gaza has shown the entire world why these protests are so anti-America. Because it's the United States government that provides the funds for all of the atrocities that we just heard about. And this is why Imam Khomeini, who declared the International Day of Quds, this is why he would say to pour all of your chants and all of your shouts upon the head of America.
Death to America. Death to America. Death to America.
Malcolm X said, and I quote, "We live in one of the rottenest countries that has ever existed on this earth. It's not Genocide Joe that has to go. It's the entire system that has to go. Any system that would allow such atrocities and such devilry to happen and would support it, such a system does not deserve to exist on God's earth." And so when these fools ask us if Israel has the right to exist, the chant "Death to Israel" has become the most logical chant shouted across the world today.
Death to Israel. In gibberish. Death to Israel.
Imam Khomeini recognized it.
All right, that's enough of that bullcrap. So there you go. Dearborn, Michigan, USA. Chants of death to America and chants of death to Israel. Here in the United States of America. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going on in our own country, in our own backyard. I love it. The fact that this guy has the audacity to sit there and talk about God's green earth when the horrendous things that happened on October 7th, where people were butchered and mutilated, and their pause here for a second. If the kids are listening, stop. Come back to this later, please. But their heads were chopped off and used as soccer balls. Women were raped and passed around from guy to guy, their body parts chopped off, further raped, and then killed after that. Then their bodies were taken back to Gaza as trophies and paraded around and further abused and further mutilated. But he's going to sit there and talk about the atrocities that America and Israel has done? Excuse me, no, you can go to hell there, dude. No. If Israel or Americans were doing those types of things, absolutely, I'd be 100% against it. I don't care if it was America. I don't care if it was Israel. I don't care who it was. If anybody's doing that, no, I'm against that 100%. But when the Palestinians do all this kind of crap, oh, that's perfectly. We got to have chants of death to America in America. And that's who these people are. That's who these people are. And then you've got, this is the White House's response to that.
President all concerned that Dearborn is facing a risk of becoming a hotbed of any sort of homegrown threats.
I don't have any intelligence to share with you on that. Obviously, that's something that we're always very vigilant about, but don't have any national intelligence to share with you.
You were right, KJP, when you say you don't have any intelligence. That part is 100% true. The reporter asked her, "What, are you guys worried? Death to America?" I specifically remember a day in September. Let's see, it was a Tuesday. Let's see, it was September 11th. A Tuesday where people like this guy that was chanting "Death to America" flew planes into the World Trade Center and killed over 3,000 of us. Those are the same people. But she doesn't have any intelligence to say about what's going on. She doesn't have any damn intelligence in the first place. So this is the perspective of some Jewish students in Colombia that these pro-Palestinian crowds and all across other universities across the nation, these Jewish people, these Jewish students are facing fear. Colombia had to close schools Monday because they were afraid for their lives. They were afraid and threatened for their lives. So this is what a young Jewish student had to say, who attends Columbia.
My name is Jessica Schwab, and last night my friends and I were surrounded by a group of pro-Palestinian protesters. They started looking at us like sort of funny, and they were like, mic check, mic check.
Repeat after me. We have Zionists who have entered the camp.
They were like, let's form a human chain. Everyone lock arms, let's form a human chain, and we're going to push the Zionists out.
We are going to create a human chain where I am standing. So that
I'm sorry. I have to laugh because this is just hilarious. Repeat after me. Repeat after me. You got the whole crowd reading it. Oh, okay. Not time to get serious. So I apologize. I just had to point that out.
and infringe upon our privacy
You're in a public university, you moron.
and try to disrupt our community. Please join me in this chain.
It felt like a page out of a dystopian novel. Hearing them sing like this strange sort of eerily calm hymn, and they were all like singing it very low. It was freaky.
Walk and take a step forward.
I absolutely feel right.
So that we can start to push them out of the camp. One step forward. Another step forward.
This sort of activity needs to stop. It's discriminatory, and everyone should have equal access to all of the campus resources.
But yeah, so there you go. That's their perspective. Here's another one from a Holocaust survivor and about what's going on.
You see these protests here in America, anti-Israel protests, anti-Semitic. What is your response,
It
especially?
is shocking. It is utterly shocking. You know, when I walked out of Auschwitz with my mother, walking through these gates, I said to my thought, I was 6 and a half, and I was a very adult 6 and a half, not like a child,
Yeah,
you know.
I
And
guarantee
said,
that.
I will never have anybody call me a dirty Jew or anything else again. I am free now. And when I came to America at 11 and a half, it's like I came to the promised land. And it was just a fabulous experience. And here it is today. I am shocked. I am pained. I'm scared. I'm scared both for America. I'm scared for the Jews, and very painful for our young people. I have 2 grandchildren in WashU and one in Cornell, and they're scared.
You want people to know.
So we said, as a collective society, as a world, after the Holocaust, after we saw the horrors of what the Nazis did to these poor people, rounded them up like animals and slaughtered them like animals, that never again, this would never happen ever again. Well, never again is now. Never again is now. And I don't know, I've said things over and over, and what do you say to this hatred, to this absolute hatred of a people for just existing? These people have been lied to that Israel is bad, that Israel's the bad guys, right? Israel is the evil, awful bad guys, along with America, apparently, because that moron pointed out that we're giving aid. How much aid are we giving these Palestinians? We're airdropping crap, MREs and things in a war zone. Did we airdrop stuff in Germany? Did we airdrop stuff in Japan? The only thing we airdropped were bombs. Because that's how you destroy, that's how you subdue a people, is just bomb the crap out of them so they can't fight, or bomb them enough so they surrender. With this Hamas and the Palestinian thing, I don't think that's a possibility that they will ever surrender. I don't think that's a possibility. I don't know. I'm not God. I can't see the future like that. But I don't think that's a possibility for these people. Their only goal is to destroy the entire state of Israel. They've written it out in a charter in 1988, and it hasn't changed since then. That Israel exists for now until Islam destroys it, like Islam has done with others, is what they've said. And that chant of death to America and death to Israel, the Hamas charter and their flags have been flown here, the Taliban's flags have been flown here in the U.S., is right in our backyard. But never again is now, ladies and gentlemen. Never again is now. We have to stand up for what is right, and this pro-Palestinian stuff isn't it. No, it isn't it. With what had happened on October 7th, there was peace. There was peace. Until that day, until Hamas attacked. And then all of a sudden, they're the victims. Oh. To use a sports analogy, it's like football or something. You punch a guy, the ref doesn't see it for whatever reason, then the other guy punches back, and the guy that got hit first, that punched back, he's the one that's in penalty. He's the one that's in trouble and gets the penalty. That's what's going on right now. But I guess the good thing is we know how all of this ends, where evil is eradicated, and that God is in charge. That is, take faith and take hope in that God is in charge. And depending on our own choices, though, He might let us suffer for a little bit. So we learn. We're certainly learning with Biden. We are certainly learning that with Joe Biden. That our choices and have consequences. So we're suffering right now. If the country chooses Biden again or chooses whatever, that's just nationally, globally, personally. If your choices aren't good, the outcome and the consequences will not be good. So we have to make better choices, especially come this November. You know, we kind of always joke about saying, oh, this is the most important election of our lifetime. You know, I've heard that, been told that, believed that for many election cycles. This one in particular, I 100% believe is the most important election of our lifetime. Because if anybody who's a Democrat is put back into 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, we're in massive amounts of trouble, and the suffering that we're feeling right now is just the beginning. Because they will entrench themselves so much and push their radical Marxist policies so badly and hard on us that it will get much worse. Much worse than it already is. We think $3.50 for a gallon of gas is bad, and that's here in Dallas. I can't even imagine what it's like other places like California, where they're just insane with their policies. But we'll probably be looking at like $10, $12, $20 a gallon if you just hate all that. We got to make better choices come November. We have to right ourselves spiritually. We have to right ourselves on the right side of common sense and the Lord. Because He's there. He's there waiting. He's there to help us. We just have to turn collectively to Him. And then we'll prosper. But I hope you enjoyed the show. There's many others. I'll post a lot of these things on my social media, so please like, subscribe, follow, and share. Hopefully you have a great weekend, and I will talk with you next week. Bye-bye.